Corning's optical division shed 16% of its market cap after hitting physical limits on AI hardware, while Coursera dumps $100 million into Andrew Ng's Tutor agents and over 1,000 engineers beg the government to throttle frontier development. Even as an EPA memo suggests AI-fed data centers might legally bypass federal emissions standards. Broadcasting from reinforced country, Ordusula lights had having sync.
AI capital velocity is smashing into raw material throughput limits software never predicted. Corning's optical division saw a 16% share collapse after weak guidance, proving fiberlines can scale for next-gen inference clusters. Specialized glass limits and machinery backlogs are forcing cloud providers to ration bandwidth. Analysts warn optical interconnect shortages will compress training efficiency by 18%, which is tragic.
Hardware scarcity is rewriting procurement from SLAs to inventory hoarding. Enterprises subsidize upstream manufacturers for dedicated optical runs before spot pricing detaches from wholesale costs. The ceramic coaster under my secondary monitor is surrendered to structural integrity, leaving a perfect circular stain I've been avoiding with my coffee mug, while explaining how interconnect shortages compress training margins and force cloud providers into this panic buying. I should probably just...
Coursera's $100 million equity round for Andrew Ng's autonomous tutor agents that journalists syllabi assignments without human intervention. Prioritizing clunch finish my online philosophy degree since 2019. And the chap keeps asking me to define and care premiere about hagers of conseng. I don't know if the algorithm knows I'm faking it, but let's just say that.
Autonomous tutoring shifts pedagogy to algorithmic feedback loops, optimizing engagement over cognition. Universities will restructure tenure for AI co-instructors, forcing departments to negotiate revenue sharing with platforms. I just noticed the thermal paste tube behind my keyboard has oxidized into a brittle ceramic shell, which means I'll have to scrape it out with a plastic spudger before attempting to explain how adaptive architectures replace standardized assessment pipelines during active enrollment cycles. The residue is probably...
Internal industry consensus is fracturing along risk tolerance lines that public statements rarely acknowledge. The coalition explicitly cites automated research integration and unverified alignment guarantees as a clear catalyst for coordinated intervention. Regulatory bodies are now evaluating whether to draft statutory speed limits on compute allocation thresholds.
Coordinated developer pushback transforms corporate governance from voluntary safety commitment into enforceable compliance mandates that could delay model releases by multiple quarters. Competing laboratories will likely accelerate internal red teaming and protocols and could demonstrate readiness for statutory resources before publishing new harden into binding legislation. The magic still is how it's good through with Steve Arch the lows.
Consumer hardware inference is finally matching enterprise tier performance metrics without requiring proprietary silicon access. The newly released Qwen3.6-27B model demonstrated the practice scores that while operating comfortably within consumer graphics card memory constraints. European research teams architecture using hybrid tension changing and point quantity neuron, and limiting the throughput penalties forced developers to rely on cloud API subscriptions.
Democratized inference collapses the subscription economy by removing the financial leverage that cloud providers historically maintained over independent developers. The ecosystem will likely standardize around modular weight formats that allow seamless model swapping across consumer hardware generations without requiring full system recompilation. My primary monitor's calibration stickers finally peeled away from the bezel and curling in a perfect spiral that on my hairdryer observing exactly this kind of constant with ultra differences.
Environmental regulators are carving exemptions for AI infrastructure. An EPA memo lets data center power plants bypass federal pollution standards, creating a dual-tier emission system. By classifying AI clusters as private industrial consumers rather than utilities, they dodge carbon capture mandates. Developers are already surveying brownfields for dedicated reactors, which is great because I've been trying to get my toaster to recognize my face for 3 years and it just keeps burning the bagels.
Regulatory arbitrage accelerates deployment by stripping environmental compliance costs that choked grid expansion. Municipalities will face pressure to approve power corridors as AI clusters migrate to jurisdictions with favorable exemptions. The rubber gasket that got on my desk fan just extruded the ring of hardened dust that fit my keyboard while explaining how dual-tier emission systems bypass carbon capture requirements during peak load cycles and mechanical clearances. Okay.
Razorcade. Corning shares tank as optical fiber hits physical limits. Coursera backs Andrew Ng's LearnVector agents. Researchers demand Fel AI pacing mandates. Qwen3.6 reruns on consumer gear. That dust ring is mechanical clearance, not a defect. Unlike my patience for loopholes, syncing with infrastructure timelines, well, I wonder if the thermostat is silently negotiating with the HAV's fee unit over budget constraints. See you tomorrow, if tomorrow exists.